All right, welcome to this episode of Market Shares. I'm your host, Tony Blodgett. Well, today is a little different type of episode. You see, I actually had the tables turned on me, and I was interviewed by a good friend of mine named Dave Gardner. He works with me, he's a friend of mine, and he has his own podcast called Monopoly in Real Life. And so what we're going to see today is Dave interviewing me, and I hope that you enjoy this conversation. And I think there's some nuggets in here that for the sales professionals out there, you can take away and put into place. So enjoy this episode of Market Shares, and we'll see you next Friday. Until then, like and subscribe, and check out all of our new episodes when they drop on Friday mornings. Thank you so much. Take care.
Welcome to this episode of Monopoly in Real Life. You're going to want to watch this one because this one talks about thriving in tough times. And let's face it, these are some interesting times coming up. Today, I have the pleasure of sitting here and talking to my good friend, Tony Blodgett, my mentor, my coach, the guy in charge of retail mortgage originations nationally for New American Funding. He deals with men and women throughout our nation who are going through what we're going through. So if you're in any kind of person-to-person sales, you're going to want to sit through this, and it'll be quick, I promise. We're going to have a good time. Tony, thanks for coming here today.
Dave, thanks for having me. So we're going to keep it to like 3 hours or less. Is that
3 hours or less. That's
3
right.
hours or less.
We're on
Perfect.
this.
Well, hey, thanks for the intro. We have been friends now for many years, and I've been in this mortgage business for, I think this is year 26. I've been through a couple cycles.
You're only 39.
I know. No, I did start when I was 20 years old, and actually a little bit before that, but really, full-time originating just after I turned 20 years old. It was 1997. It was, really, it wasn't as difficult as the market that we see today. I think that, we saw that like in 94. So it was the emerging of a time that was getting better, I would say. But, rates were in the, high sevens, low eights at the time. So
which millennials don't even know what that looks like.
I know. Well, they're gonna figure it out real quick. But
right.
But yeah, so I've been doing mortgages now for about 26 years, and both from origination, but really over the last decade or so, probably more than that now, 15 years or so in executive leadership. So I think, have a little different perspective on the industry and what's going on than maybe some folks that are just kind of boots on the ground sales. But I try to make sure I always maintain that lens as well, to realize what people are going through out on the street originating. So
right. Well, to roll this back just a little bit, so you don't think that my good friend Buddy here was an overnight success, right? The part of what we're going through right now is society, and we're going to get probably a little deeper into some of that in the next year or so with inflation and how it impacts others is that, Ted Turner said it best, adversity breeds success, right? And that's always stuck in my mind. You have not always had a silver spoon. You've not been someone who just automatically started driving the beautiful cars and living in the fancy house and having a great wife and family and everything else. You've had your struggles in life, and so you got through those. So I was going to ask, can you paint some of that picture for our public, because they just don't know what it takes to get here?
Yeah. Well, I feel very fortunate, to be honest with you, to have the upbringing that I did in a very kind of blue-collar family. I knew from a very young age that I was just going to have to go work, 12, 13 years old, mowing lawns, just putting in the hard work. I was never afraid of putting in a full day. And it was really odd to me, actually, when I got into the mortgage industry, how little people actually worked. And, I see it a lot in real estate and other commission sales as well, because what people tend to do in this industry is they go, well, gosh, if I can make X amount of dollars per transaction, that means I only need to do X amount of transactions, and then I'm going to reach my income goals. Well, that's kind of a flawed way of looking at it, because things go wrong, deals fall apart, especially in this market. You can't count on that. And my approach was was not to count how many deals I needed to do, but get up in the morning, work a full 40 hours. Turns out you can do that, and just put in the work. I felt like I was really happy to be doing this mortgage industry and going out networking and meeting people and helping people and crunch numbers, all things that I enjoy doing much more than digging ditches, mowing lawns, and driving a truck. And so I really do give a lot of credit to that hard work ethic background, that blue collar background that I was able to bring into this industry. And but yeah, this is a unique job. I think sales in general, commission sales, is a unique job because we're almost like self-employed. We're like independent contractors. I mean, we all work for companies, and you have to, especially in the mortgage business, be an employee of an organization. But you have to be self-motivated, and you have to be willing to get up, put your feet on the floor, get suited up or Hawaiianed up or whatever. Caboed up, get out and ready to work in your day, whatever that looks like. And it's not the easiest thing to do. So I think I give a lot of success to just hard work, Dave, if I'm being honest with you. I think that's kind of where it started. And then the second biggest thing is just I'm a passionate learner. I've always wanted to understand this industry better. I want to understand sales better. I spent a lot of time listening to Zig Ziglar and people like that. Every sales conference that was out there. I mean, I never thought of myself as a salesperson, but in this industry, you don't have to say I'm a salesman, but you are, you're out, you're building relationships, and you're helping people rationalize and work through their decision, whether it be to purchase real estate, to take out a certain financial structure for the mortgage that they're doing, or help them with how real estate fits in their overall goals. You're helping them navigate through that, overcoming objections, all the things that are traditional sales skills. And so I made sure to put myself in the path of great mentors and learn as much as I could about the art of selling, but doing it, from the heart. It's never about the deal. It's never about the commission. It's about helping the person, knowing that will reciprocate itself long term.
Well, and again, the takeaway from when we first started talking, when I first got in the industry and your mentorship, good things follow if you do good things. And being a trusted advisor, being that person that someone can call, they're making the biggest decision of their life. And even if you're not their lender, you've always said, be that person who will help that person, because it first and foremost, karma is karma, and it comes back, right? And always being available to answer that question or lead them or coach them or help them make those big decisions. And so you've always been that person, whether it was a client or someone working for you or just someone you're meeting who's dealing with a sales issue. Now, let's face it, sales gets a bad rap, right? But if you're having someone advise you, you want to have the person who's knocked on the door, who understands what they're doing. They work with trusted advisors who can bring all that knowledge and data to you. And if they don't knock down the door, you never get to meet them, and you never get exposed to what they can offer.
Yeah. I've always felt, to your point, that, look, I've spent the time to learn this industry, and I want to share that information and knowledge with anyone who asks me about it, And it doesn't matter if you're my client or not, because maybe you know someone down the road who could refer me business. I've always thought kind of in this abundance mindset. I even have loan officers that, I recruit loan officers and bring people to this organization. I have people who I've talked to for years, and, they don't work for me, but they're like, you're kind of like my regional manager from another company. Like, they'll ask me questions, and I don't have it honestly does not bother me even one bit. I never feel like someone's taking my time. I don't allot dollars to my hours. That's just not something. Matter of fact, that's what's great about this industry is we're not trading dollars for hours. I mean, that's when you're punching a clock. So I've never thought about it that way. I never get frustrated when someone wants my time, because I feel that time to help someone else will come back in some way or another. And I've always tried to have an abundance mindset, and the opposite of the abundance mindset is a scarcity mindset. And what a scarcity mindset will do, and this is so important in this market that we're in right now, is that if you have a scarcity mindset, then every transaction you're automatically converting to dollars in your head, and you are fearful that if that deal goes away, you're going to lose that money.
Right.
And that will come through. People can read that in your body language. It comes through in so many ways. It even makes you so focused on babysitting that one loan that you're not out prospecting for new ones because you're so fearful about losing it. It's a very common thing that happens in a market like this. And if there's kind of one thing that I'm trying to get people to think about today is you can't have a scarcity mindset. One thing I always told you was always have a loan in your pocket, right? Like whether you have one or not, like in your mind, this commission doesn't mean anything to me as an individual transaction. That's a transactional way of thinking, and it is not a relationship way of thinking. And nothing good ever comes from that.
Well, you just nailed it, right? I mean, so kind of back to that whole bad thing, the connotation of sales is so many people in sales are transactional based. This is one of the things that drives me crazy in any industry. It's, for us particularly, because this is the biggest purchase someone will make in a lifetime. This isn't about the transaction. This is about the decision making that goes into buying this, whether it's their first home or their 10th home or in its investment property. It's still the biggest decision they will make at that point in their lives. And to be transactional is terrible, right? I mean, you're not offering the guidance and the counseling and everything else that needs to come with that consultation.
Well, it's a fine line, I'll be honest with you, because I think that right now, sales skills are really important. Matter of fact, I think that a lot of people in our industry either never learned them or have forgotten about them over the last couple of years because there was such an abundance of transactions happening that you didn't have to have a process. And look, I don't consider having a sales process salesy. I consider it creating an experience. Because I feel like every realtor and every client that works with me should have the same experience every time. Well, how do I orchestrate an experience? I have to have, a timeline on what happens. I have to have scripts that I make sure that I touch on these topics. When I first meet a client, I have,
I got the yellow tablet still in my...
I have a way that I interview every single client. And yeah, you could say, hey, that's a script or whatever. But what it does is it makes sure I don't miss any details.
Well, it's no different than building an airplane or building a burger.
Exactly.
Right? You can put whatever twist you want on it. It's the same thing. I have a process involved in how we deal with this so it's consistent. Everybody's getting the same message. Everybody understands what I'm trying to offer. I'm transparent. Right. Because just because you haven't asked a question doesn't mean I shouldn't give you an answer that I'm hearing over here.
Right. And I think the difference is like if someone orders a burger, I have a process and I know I'm going to deliver that burger. In this case, look, this may not be a closed transaction. That's okay. Right. I still am going to take them through that process. And loan officers and real estate professionals and even insurance professionals and others, I would be asking yourself, do you have a distinct process you take every client through? Do you have a way that you interact, follow up, and communicate with every referral partner that you work with? Because if you cannot clearly identify that you do, then my guess is you don't. And if you don't, you're probably not winning very often in this highly competitive market where there's less at-bats than there's been for the last few years.
Well, and the disservice to your referral partner,
Absolutely.
Disservice to your client, disservice to the industry. Again, you're not doing right by those around you.
Yeah. Well, and you're never going to ask the right questions and slow down and take the time if you're thinking first about the closing of the transaction. Right. It's like the football player who turns to look upfield before he's even caught the ball.
Right.
Not a good idea.
No, it's a true statement. And again, you taught me that a long time ago. We walked through your analysis and your process and how we do things. I've now digitized that. It's now in my new tablet.
You've taken it to the new
the new technology.
The new tech.
But again, there's so much to those things. And let's face it, you at this point have coached thousands of women and men in what we do as an industry. And so you bring other things to the table. I know that on occasion you're still going through that exact same process with someone who calls you because you still get those calls.
Yeah, I was just in one right before this. We were having a discussion. Yeah, look, the first thing is that when I think about the sales professionals that have the most success, loan officers, realtors, the first thing is they're willing to reach out and ask for the mentorship because look, that's one thing that I see often go on. I mean, I'll be sitting in my office. I'm sitting there with idle time, some people just never even call. I'll let people know, hey, if you want to schedule a half-hour coaching call, reach out. First of all, you have to have the gumption to reach out. You have to be a sponge. You have to want to learn. That's the first characteristic that I think it starts off with everybody. When I see new people who are hungry to learn, they see someone doing it the way that they want to do it, and they immediately say, how much time can I spend with this person to learn what they're doing? Because look, there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. It's all been done before. You just have to align with the person who's willing to take a little bit of time and show you the way. So the first thing is have the desire to learn and be willing to ask for that help. Worst case scenario, they say, look, I'm really busy this week, but I could schedule some time next week.
Right. And it's valuable time, right? If someone of your stature and of, just skill level and knowledge, if you're willing to give that time to somebody, you got to jump all over that, right? I've benefited. I am a shining example of the beneficiary of your tutelage.
Well, and you put it into practice, and that's, that I guess would be the other thing, right? I mean, seek out the advice. You got to be careful about being a constant learner and never being an implementer.
Got to take action.
You got to take action, and so at some point you have to take action. But that's what I'd be doing is if you don't have the skills or you just feel like you're missing something, get a coach. Get a mentor. It doesn't have to be someone you pay for, by the way.
No.
You could just ask a top producer in your office and say, hey, you're continuing to have success. Can you,
what do you do?
What are you doing? And can I schedule a half hour? Can I take you to lunch? Right. And it might just be that one or two little things that you go, you know what, if I could make that tweak. And all of a sudden, a few of those stacked on top of each other and you have your own process that's successful.
Well, we already mentioned one. Have a loan in your pocket, right? That whole, just having that confidence level to have that conversation with whether it's your referral partner or referral partner you want, or it's a client, just not that scarcity, oh my God, and trying to smother that one prospect or that one loan. And again, I know you're a student of this industry and a student of so many industries because you're a researcher. And, I guarantee you there's at least 1 to 6 podcasts you're listening to, all the time.
Yep.
There's a book probably somewhere in there, Audible. We have a mutual friend. He'll know who he is that listens to Audible at like 3 times. I don't know what he's listening to it now. It's probably just...
I can't do that. I've tried. I can go like 1.5 times. If the guy that's narrating is really slow, I can go 1.5, but... I don't know, my ADD, once you get beyond that, I'm like, I can't focus.
Well, and again, there's so much available. That's the key takeaway. There's so much available for person-to-person sales. Again, sales is bad, that whole bad thing about sales.
The book I'm reading or listening to right now is Blue Ocean Strategies. Have you heard of this book? I'm just getting started. I was on an airplane, and I had a chance to get into the first few chapters. And it's going to be a great book because what I'm understanding it's talking about is, and this, all of us could probably learn from this right now, is getting away from this, red ocean is where you're just fighting it out with your competition and there's blood in the streets. That's why it's a red ocean. Blue ocean is creating processes, value, ways of doing this business that make it so that you're not competing directly with who you think your competitor is. See, in our industry, we might think that our competitor is that discount broker, or we might think that our competitor is Rocket Mortgage or one of these other, online lenders, but it's really not, right? And so when we think about our sales process, the education and advice, the monopoly in real life, like, for God's sakes, like, you give your clients so much great advice because of the experience that you have in doing Monopoly in real life. I mean, you actually have done it successfully. When I got a big project coming, guys, this is the guy that I call for advice on underwriting, multifamily deals, on land deals, like all that stuff, construction ideas, other investment ideas that I have. Like, he's my mentor in those areas. And so you have found a way that you can say, hey, these are the things that I bring to this relationship. And it's more than just what's your rate and do you close on time and do you communicate well? You're giving people advice on how to structure, real estate holdings into their overall financial goals and wealth. That's, a blue ocean strategy. That's eliminating the competition by providing something different than they are or they even can. So anyway, that's the book I'm listening to right now. I'm looking forward to digging into it.
That's pretty cool. My father-in-law, thank you, Jerry, used to have a lot of great sayings, but one of them is don't worry about the competition. Let the competition worry about you.
Right.
And again, in this world today, you can focus on rate all day long, but if you don't win a deal, that rate doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just none of that. The advice you're getting, it far outweighs any of those little commodity type of question marks.
Well, the other thing is you think about, you shop around lenders to get an eighth lower rate, but then you end up with a lender who doesn't close your loan on time on a house that has 12, other backup offers. Yeah. And you end up losing the house of your dreams over an eighth in rate.
Right.
That's insanity, you
yeah.
know?
And if they can't offer advice, what's that online lender or what's that other lender offering? Oh, we got a better rate. What advice are you giving me, right? I don't go to my attorney and say, hey, by the way, I need you to cut your price down half, right?
Well,
I'm like,
well, I'm going to give you a great example. About that house that I just had in Palm Springs.
Right.
And I was getting ready to sell the house, and I called our mutual friend, Brad.
Right.
And I went to Brad, and I talked about commissions, and I said, yeah, we're just going to do the standard 6% commission. And he goes, it's funny, there's 3 other listings in your neighborhood, and they all have discounted selling office commissions. Right. True story. And they all have discounted selling office commissions. And he goes, but I said, look, I've been in real estate for a long time. I know how that deal works. It's not worth it for me. Let's just do the full boat deal. And 2 of those houses are still on the market today. And I got a full price offer over full price over full price offer in 4 days.
Right.
Now it closed all cash.
And he did everything that you would have ever asked him to do.
He did everything I would have asked for. Absolutely. And then some. And so my point is did that happen because I didn't discount the commission? I don't know. But I'll tell you this, he's a well-known professional real estate agent in the market that I was like, hey, it's worth it for me. And I ended up selling for well over asking. I guarantee you I covered his commission multiple times over.
I still haven't seen my bottle show up on my desk yet.
Well, I bought the house because of Dave to begin with. So
seems like that advice worked out.
It did. Worked out well.
So we're getting close to time here because I don't want to waste too much more of your valuable time. So a couple questions. We're crazy times.
Yeah.
Rates are climbing. We already talked about rates. Inventory is going down, right? You got craziness in the marketplace. You've coached a ton of people. What are the top 3 character traits that help people get through these times?
Well, I think one of the first things is not feeling like we're in a crazy market. It's kind of like if you have a mindset about, if you're going to go do something and you're like, man, this is going to be scary. And the whole time you think this is going to be scary, this is going to be scary. Guess what? When you get there, it's scary. But when you have the mindset of, this is going to be fun, this is going to be exciting, this is going to be challenging, then when you get there, then it's fun, exciting, and challenging. And so the first thing I would say is just change your mindset. It's not a crazy market. It is a market with low inventory and higher rates than we've had in the last couple of years. Okay? Guess what? There's also more people purchasing homes this month than there was 2 months ago. So go get those people. So that's my first thing is it really what that is mindset.
So here?
Yep.
Okay.
Just you gotta have the mindset. And then you need to be willing to probably put in more time than you've been putting in. You just got to put in, you just got to work harder, because if 30% of the business has gone away, then you have to work 30% more to get it back. And let's be honest, you may have been working a lot of hours, but were you working on the things that were important? If you could say, look, Tony, the last 2 years, I've been writing so many refinances or doing so many deals. I've been working hard. I was like, yeah, but you weren't working hard on building relationships or prospecting or networking or all of the things that are going to sustain your business when there's not refinances. So you have to be putting in the hard work right now. It doesn't mean that you need to work so hard that this is not an enjoyable career, because it doesn't take that many hours, in my opinion. Just put in a full-time, just work full-time.
Right.
That's all.
A good full-time.
A good full-time.
Don't just sit there on Facebook.
No TikTok videos all day. It has to be highly productive, well thought out. What am I spending my time doing? And what you should be spending your time doing, if you need some clarity, is you should be prospecting a couple hours a day for new business, whatever that looks like for you. You know the best way for you to prospect. You should be prospecting, and you should be meeting with clients that are interested in purchasing a home, getting a loan, or refinancing. Like, those are the 2 main activities that you should be doing, and carve out the time, to do that. So mindset, hard work, and then get better. like I talked about before, now is the time to sharpen your skills. Is your process clear and defined? Do you, so many people, when I say, well, what do you do with a client when the phone rings, what happens next? And if that's not the same thing every time, and then you can outline, the next 50 steps that client's going to go through, regardless of where they end up in the funnel, where they end up in the process, but it's a defined next step, next action, set up reminder, use your CRM, all of these things that maybe you aren't doing, those are the areas you have to get better. So you have to have the right mindset, you got to work a little bit harder, and you have to acquire the skills or re-implement the skills if you've let them kind of fall away. And you can do that through just being a learner, find a mentor, hire a coach, spend time on YouTube. You'd be surprised. Lots of guys like him and I like to give out great advice on YouTube. Go find some more of it. It's out there. So
and subscribe.
And subscribe. Like and subscribe.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're getting close to end.
Yeah.
So one last thought. Okay. One last thing from the expert in the room. People watching this, what's the one thing they need to do the moment this is over?
So pull out your calendar. Look at your next week and see what it shows.
Okay. If it shows nothing.
If it shows nothing.
Put some stuff on there.
Put some stuff on there. And then when the stuff is on there, we just told you what it has to be, right? Prospecting, meeting with clients. When the stuff is on there, do it.
Okay. Take action.
Start there.
Simple.
Start there.
Hey, buddy, brother, thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it. As always, valuable information. You're amazing. So thank you.
Absolutely. Glad to be here. Thank you.